Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie of ChakraBoosters.com, the creator of Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. And I'm very excited today to share with you this big energy forecast for the rest of 2019. Now I'm calling it big because it's actually longer than most. Usually I do it for the month, but I had some things happen in October that made me unavailable to get the video ready for November. So I'm excited to at least grab these last 10 days with this reading beginning on the 20th of November. So I'm getting the last third of November and all of December. So if you don't have a piece of paper, you might want to grab one and a pen because there's a lot here, and I think there might be a few things you want to note and jot down. I'm also calling it big because it's big energetically. It's huge. In fact, part of what I'm going to share with you in this is my own personal story about this 12-year cycle. What happened to me in October really goes back 12 years ago, and I'm seeing that that was a repeat. And I'm excited to share that with you. But I know that not everyone is interested in, say, my personal cycles, and you just want to hear the dates, you want to have the information, you want to keep it short. That's fine. I totally understand that, and I've put timestamps below, so just look for the timestamp below that shows you where the actual energy forecast begins. But if you're part of my tribe, and so many of you gave me such well wishes when I was going through my healing crisis, thank you for that. If you're part of my tribe and you want to know the story, I am going to be pretty transparent and tell you what was going on, because I think it is so valuable, number one, for you to see that while I'm teaching this stuff, I'm not above any of it. And when you all ask me questions, I answer to the best of my ability, but I almost always tell you to go with what you believe to feel into what's right for you. Because I love sharing this chakra information, but I also want you to see me as just someone who's on the path with you. We're using the same chakra map, but I'm on the path with you. And when my energies meet in a place where there needs to be a death rebirth, then that happens. So what I'm talking about here is big Jupiter energy, which is the crown chakra. Jupiter is all about, it's very lucky, it's very auspicious, it's good for all. It's the most visionary, look at the biggest picture. So it really is the crown chakra. It's the God consciousness. It's where we're all connected. And we're going to see a lot of Capricorn as Jupiter comes into Capricorn. That's the 12-year cycle that I'm going to look at. There's some other aspects to it, but the one I'm specifically going to really tell my story about is this Jupiter coming into Capricorn, which allowed me 12 years ago to create these tattoos, my Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. Okay, and that means for you that whatever inspirations are coming for you or coming into you now, I really hope you'll allow them, you'll honor them, and then you'll summon the courage, summon the confidence to take that long journey from making something that's way up here, something that seems maybe crazy, something that's so divine and well-meaning, and bring it into the tangible, real world of business, or how do I get it to people, right? Okay, so if you aren't interested in my story, feel free to go ahead and look at the timestamps below and just go right to the energy forecast for you. But I promise you that this isn't just me sharing my story to be transparent or to get closer to you, even though that is something I would love, but it's also to show you the cyclical nature and the importance for those of us that are very upper chakra, especially those of us who have really good connection. Maybe we aren't even upper chakra, maybe we're very grounded, but we have good connection to the upper chakras. For those of us that have really good connection to the divine, that have psychic abilities, high intuition, we're very open in our crown chakra and in our third eye, even our fifth probably, but definitely crown chakra and third eye, For those of us that are in that world, we have a portal coming up here to actually bring the gifts of the divine into the world, the specific gifts that are trying to come through us. And this is super, super strong, so that's why I'm going to outline it with my story. Okay, so what happened? Well, first, just for the sheer fact that I believe that we need to look at when we make predictions, or look at when we say things are going to happen. So I want to go over the 3 themes real quick that I said for October 2019, because they ended up being frighteningly accurate for me. We've got fairness, win-win. We've got surprising but inevitable. And then finally, the one that hit me the hardest, my 3rd theme, was rebirth from death. Rebirth through death. The reason I'm sharing this story of my healing crisis in October is because it corresponded to a healing crisis that I had exactly 12 years earlier, in October of 2007. And I believe this healing crisis in both cases was preparing me for expansion in my service in the world. Because I was just teaching yoga. I wasn't really doing any of the chakra stuff that you know me for in 2007, except in a little tiny bit in classes, in yoga classes. And I got ill in the same area, in the same 2 chakras. I got in 2007, October, very early, very beginning part of October, I had surgery to remove a tumor on my uterus. The tumor was in the high part of my uterus, up in the solar plexus type area, right at the top of my uterus. And then of course it was on my uterus, which was the sacral. So there was like this parasitic, it was on my uterus. Interestingly, this illness I had in October was contractions of the solar plexus, and I was feeling them into my sacral area, down into my womb, and they were like contractions, like I was trying to birth something, even though it was the solar plexus. So it was a very weird thing. It started on October 6th, and I wasn't even human until October 22 or so, and I didn't eat for the first 9 days. I started to take a tiny bit of food on the 10th day. I was throwing up from day 2 or 3 until all the way through day 9. And it felt like this huge purging around the solar plexus and the sacral around this. And it's funny because this year is a Me Too movement year, because I think collectively, and my healing crisis felt collective, felt like I was doing it not just for myself, but for others, not just for this lifetime, but for many lifetimes, and not just as a victim, because I have been raped in this lifetime and incested. It's not just me as a victim, but me as a abuser in past lives. I've had a lot of warrior energy. And all of us, if we've lived a few lifetimes, have been on both sides of the equation. And even in this lifetime, we've had times when we've been in a more power position, and maybe we were a little controlling, or we didn't take care of it in the ultimate way that we would want to. And then we've also had times when we've been in a victim position. Now, we tend to fall into roles in those energies, but nevertheless, across lifetimes, we've experienced it all. And I believe collectively right now, we are trying to change power structures by getting rid of this energy, this toxic energy left over from abuse. I mean, there's lots and lots of videos on narcissism and on victimhood. These are the 2 sides of it. So I really believe we healed a lot of it over this Pluto time period in October. I feel like we really went and did some shadow work as a collective there. So share if you know anything that you experienced around that. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that leaves us clear and more powerful with this Jupiter energy now coming in to inspire us, which will be in the report I'm about to share with you. This Jupiter energy is huge. And again, Jupiter is crown energy, and it's going into Capricorn, which is root. So this is a time for you to bring your visionary ideas down into real life, into the physical plane. These are the dates we want to look at. So I posted this November 20th, but maybe you're watching it later. But I'm going to say yesterday, okay, November 19th, Jupiter, around 7 a.m. Pacific. Again, where's the galactic center? There isn't complete agreement, so we can get different times. But Jupiter went into the galactic center. Well, Jupiter's ruled by the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius and Jupiter are both positive. They're auspicious and good luck and expansive and good for everybody and all about the collective on an energy level. This is great, great, great energy. And the galactic center is the center. You know how much I talk about centering. This particular event of Jupiter being the galactic center, you get different, again, interpretations, but roughly will be there November 19th through the 24th. During this time, you've got a lot of positivity. You have vision, good luck, and an open, this is the most important thing. I really want you to maybe even do some meditations where you're opening. Just imagine your crown coming open like a car, like the sunroof, just imagine all this beautiful, auspicious Jupiter energy is just coming down into you. And what you're going to find is, because it's actually happening with the planets right now, you're going to find more specific information coming from the divine. If you have any kind of connection in open crown already, you're going to find more information from the divine. So this is super duper auspicious. Let me tell you about just a couple other things that are happening to make it even more wow. Remember when I told you earlier in the video about, if you heard my story, I don't think I said it if you didn't hear my story, but if you heard my story about this thing in this Me Too year where we've had solar plexus, the potentiality for abusive energy, controlling, fiery energy, and the receptive, softer, surrendering energy of the sacral kind of battling it out. Well, it's interesting because we have a grand fire trine during, I'm talking now about yesterday, 19th. We had a grand fire trine that kicked this whole thing off, and we had a grand water trine. So there we have, again, beautiful, just like, oh, harmonizing energy, all about fire, and harmonizing energy all about water. So that's sacral and solar plexus. So again, I feel like there's some real healing trying to happen right now around abuse, around power shifting. So November 20th, quick note that Mercury comes out of retrograde. Yay! It goes direct. And I want to tell you, at least for me, I have had so many crazy things happening in this Mercury retrograde, and I haven't really cared, because I've been so consumed and interested in all these other bigger energies that have been happening. But it's always nice to know that our computer might be a little more reliable, that our plane tickets, our route might be a little more smooth. So on the 20th of November, Mercury comes out of retrograde and comes direct. Then on November 26th, we have a new moon. Yay! Because it's in Sagittarius, the planet that rules Jupiter. And it's happening at 7:05 a.m. Pacific. If I didn't mention it, all the times I use are Pacific. Please change them for your time zone. And that may even change the day, right? So you may be November 27. This is an amazing new moon. Again, auspicious. The way we are feeling the energy of Jupiter being in the galactic center. There's a similar energy here, except now we've got a chance to bring the sperm and egg together, boom, and create something totally new. By the way, there's a lot of Uranus energy in the background throughout this entire period that's still shaking things up, and it's wanting to break those old patterns. And if you just really trust, this is a huge opportunity to break old patterns. It might mean that you have to go through something like I did. You may die and be reborn. But now that we're this far along, we're out of more of the Pluto energy, I believe that's not such a risk. Just be open-minded for things to change and be interested in changing old patterns that haven't been working for you. Okay, beloved? I certainly have mine, and I'm ready to let them shift. Okay, so here's what I have around the intentions on the new moon in Sagittarius, 7:05 a.m. Pacific, November 26th. Don't be afraid to reach too big. My idea of making chakra tattoos 12 years ago was so gigantic. It was so overwhelming, but I just I couldn't not. So be very aware of the things in your field that you're being poked and prodded to do that just feel like destiny, that you've got to do this. And no matter how crazy it is, as long as you can visualize, I mean crazy in that like chakra tattoos are a crazy idea, but I still can physically make them and make a business out of them. So I could see the steps. You know, they were light, so I could send them to people all over the globe, which I have, to over 100,000 of them to people in 55 countries. So that I could see. So there needs to be, and this is the big one, a long-term vision. You got to be able to feel into it long-term. If you can't feel into it long-term, not really worth investing at this time when we're about to put Jupiter, when Jupiter's about to go into Capricorn, and also with Saturn in Capricorn. These are longevity things, longevity. So only really set an intention for something if you believe that you can do it for the long term. You are in it for real. You can actually visualize, sense a physical path for it, a need for it, a real world application. And then finally, I already mentioned this, but I want to mention it one more time, that it feels destined, that it feels like I can't not do it. Like when I'm really honest with myself, I can't not do it. It's not, it might seem fluffy because it came from so far out in the cosmos, but Jupiter doesn't mess around. And that's why it's so cool when Jupiter comes into Capricorn, because Jupiter's real. And this isn't about whimsy. This isn't just whimsical and flighty. This is God consciousness giving us the oracle. This is God consciousness saying, here you go. This is what you need to do for the next 20, 30 years. And of course, we can make variety out of it. And that's a lot of the energies I also feel during this period is, if you have something you've been doing that you feel fits that, how can you recommit? You know how like when couples get an old relationship, and they look at each other and finally like, we better divorce or we better have a recommitment ceremony because things just aren't going well. This is the time to have a recommitment ceremony if your heart feels that you want to go deeper in commitment to something that you've been doing, especially if you can look back in that 2007, 2008 turnover and it started back in then, or you had ideas back in then that you want to bring into birthing now. Okay, so it might actually be bringing new, fresh eyes, fresh ideas. Uranus is going to help you with that. If you just say, help me Uranus, help me Jupiter. Let's mix this up. Let's make some big changes for the better. What's the next evolution? You know, what's the next tier going up? Okay. I know I say okay a lot, you guys, but I have to keep going back to different dates, and that really grounds me and lands me. So another thing is your intentions, Sagittarian energy, you could also have intentions not just around bringing visionary business. That's the one I kept getting over and over and over again, and that's why I shared my story, visionary business. But there's also a lot of energy around learning. If there's something you've been dying to learn, go for it now. Set some intentions on that. Maybe do it even in an institutionalized way, because Jupiter is going to move from Sag and go into Capricorn. So that's like structure and schooling and getting a degree. Right? Can you feel that? Also, Jupiter's known for travel and freedom, but the way I got the message for this particular cycle, since it's such a long cycle and it deals with Capricorn, and we have Capricorn in the South Node, which is like our past, our karmic past, and we have Cancer in the North Node right now, which is our collective. We're all moving toward heart, which I'll talk about more with the 2020 energy. But since that's happening right now, it feels like this is a good time if you feel a really strong draw to live somewhere else, somewhere foreign, somewhere where you'll learn a lot and it'll be a whole new culture, okay? I haven't really seen that anywhere else. Anyone mention anything like that, but it's just really hitting me strong. So I'm definitely going to share it, even if I'm the lone wolf or the black sheep. Okay, so what else do we want to look at right now? Mars is opposite Uranus, so during this new moon, you might have a little bit of agitation. You know, Mars wants to take action, and Uranus is unknown and impulsive, and anything could happen. So if you do get too impulsive, it might lead to disastrous results that you couldn't foresee. So I would say really work your patience on this new moon. Focus instead, like when you feel that Mars energy, just move that active energy into what you're going to do with your vision, and maybe even look at the 3 areas I was talking about. What about vision for serving and helping others in your purpose, for learning, and also for possibly having foreign experiences, maybe even in a long-term way, like moving a home. So put the energy there. And if you happen to lose your top a little bit, please be kind to yourself. Mars energy is like, it's intense. Fire, 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 solar plexus. It doesn't help if you then are mean to yourself about the fact that you lost your temper, right? That will just give you more inner temper. Love yourself, forgive yourself, move on, shift the energy. Okay? Can you promise me that? Because there might be a lot of hot heads moving around at that time, and we don't want to butt heads. And then finally, the last thing is there's Sun and Moon trine to Chiron, the healer planet. So if you have that visionary energy around something healing, there's also Jupiter is square Chiron, and Jupiter, you know, usually when you're square things, not so good, but being square to Jupiter, being anything practically to Jupiter is good. It's actually auspicious. It's actually very positive, fortuitous. So this says to me a couple different things. Chiron is actually in 1 degree of Aries. I actually remembered that. So it's in this really place where you need, it's the beginning, the very beginning of the zodiac. So you need confidence, because Aries is about, you know, having the confidence, the courage to show up, but also it's the beginning. So we need confidence because this is might be a new idea. It might be something that seems crazy. It's totally new. So, and if it has to do with healing, go for it. I mean, Chiron is right here asking you to do that. Okay. All right. So what's our next thing? On December 2nd, I just want to mention that that is when Jupiter enters Capricorn at 11:20 a.m. Pacific, because that's a big move. That's when you're going to begin to feel that lightness shift, okay? So when you're really meditating and asking for the downloads in your prayers, or outright asking, what's next for me? What's my purpose? How can I serve? What is needed in the collective? These kinds of questions, well, you need to ask those, at least probably start asking them now. This is the time, this whole portal from now until the 2nd, the next couple weeks, because on December 2, it's almost like, as I keep getting this visualization that like Jupiter takes this incredibly long elevator from the sky, from high pure consciousness, and he comes down. This is this father energy, the great Zeus father energy, comes down and says, okay, hands you the briefcase. I gave it to you by telephone here, but now here are the plans. Like, comes down to earth into Capricorn and then gives you the briefcase. So Jupiter was calling you, whispering to you, motivating you, inspiring you from like the 19th to the 2nd, or up until because it happens in the evening, 11:20 p.m. Pacific. So the end of the 2nd, almost for most of you, many of you, I should say, it'll be from the East Coast in the US and the rest of the world just about, except for, I'm not forgetting you, Hawaii. It will be the next day. So it'll be on the 3rd. But think of that visual. It's like Jupiter isn't up here anymore to give you any more whispered inspirations. That was all done before the 2nd. Now he's taken the elevator all the way down and he's handing you the plans. It's plan time. It's Capricorn time. It's go time. So Capricorn the planner, because then in 2020, there's a huge stellium that I'm sure you've heard about on the 12th that's going to bring in Saturn as well. And Saturn is the work master. So we sort of have vision, and then we have the root chakra planning, and then we have the root chakra, the movement, the actual work. Because work is root chakra. So planning is root chakra and work. So they're both Saturn and Capricorn are root chakra, but different aspects. So in the big picture, guys, we're wanting to use the 19th of November. I'm repeating a lot because I want you to remember this in your subconscious. The 19th of November to the evening time of the 2nd of December, or all of the 2nd for many of you in the world. That's the time when you are receiving the downloads, the Jupiterian visions and ideas, or reviewing ones you had from before. And then from the 3rd, or the very night of the 2nd, but we'll say the 3rd, from December 3rd on to really when we get into January, for the rest of the year, we'll say it's really a Capricorn planning phase. And you can take actions, of course, but don't just act before you plan. The Capricornian energy period there is where Jupiter and Cap are next to each other now. Jupiter is in Capricorn, and they are talking about, so now instead of the chakras being apart as they are so far apart, right? We have the highest, the 7th, this is Jupiter, and we have Capricorn. They're normally so far away. Well, Jupiter just came on down, and now they're hanging out, and they're making plans. And a few of those plans are easy, so you might take some actions, already start taking some real world action. But it's always better sometimes, how when someone just goes, I have an idea, and they go and they act, and they don't make any plans. So then the idea fails in action, but it wasn't that it was a bad idea. It was just that the actions were taken so quick without any planning. And Saturn is a workhorse that likes to do things for the long run, the long haul. So you want to plan. If you want something to last for the long haul, you want to do some planning. And of course, in these planetary times, you will course correct. You will shift many times. But it's different to go into something without a plan. Then you don't even have anything to shift. You're just lost in the sea bobbing about. But to have a plan and then shift, I've found for myself that whenever I have a plan, I can be more spontaneous. That's just how it works. It feels really good to have a plan. It gives me the freedom. I'm not nervous anymore. I'm not untethered. So I can actually then make really good actions and adjustments. Cybernetics, adjusting as I go. The next significant date we have is December 11th. It is the date of the full cold moon in Gemini at 10:12 p.m. Yes, I said cold. Now you hopefully will have a warm one, but the reason they call it the cold moon is because it is, well, I guess at least the people that called it were probably the people in the northern hemisphere, because it is getting very dark at this time, right? Very, very dark. So it's cold, wintry, it's the dark time. And but it will be very low on the horizon. It moves super slow, so you'll get to appreciate this moon more. Hopefully the weather will allow you to see it. And the energy here is, the sign is Gemini, and the energy is the twin energy. And I felt into it, and what I got really clearly was work and play, play and work. So now this is root chakra and sacral. We have the lowest divine masculine and the lowest divine feminine, the one we birth out of, the one we're protected out of, the home base. So this is about work, this is about play, this is about planning, this is about spontaneity, this is about productivity, right? And this is about creativity. And I could go on and on and on. But the question to ask yourself in this Gemini twin-like energy is, first of all, just allow yourself to be as many different sides as you want. But if you can't feel into all of them, play with this apparent duality and ask yourself, how can you work with both? So how can I work more playfully? And how can I play more productively? That's a great question, isn't it? How can I work more playfully, and how can I play more productively? I feel like we're coming into an age where there's not going to be so much duality. We're going to have more unity with these awakenings on the planet that are happening. And with this unity, we're able to literally link these chakras and interjoin them. Like even the most opposite ones, because the root and the sacral are the most physically separate. They're the lowest, most physically different chakras. All right, what else do I want to share here? This is the checkpoint where you look back at your intentions for November 26th, just see how they're going. And now that Jupiter is in Capricorn, I would highly recommend that you take a look at whether you're actually realistically either setting plans or taking some few beginning actions. And one action is to create plans, right? Create, if you're doing a business, maybe the legalities around it, getting the name, getting the website, that kind of stuff. Can you feel that energy? And if it was 6 months ago, awesome. And you might even want to look back again. You could look back to 2007, 2008, that time I was telling you about, the end of 2007 and the beginning of 2008. So look at all those times and check and see and make adjustments, cybernetics, and go from there. But most of all, I want to remind you that full moons are a time of celebration, and Gemini is a social celebrating sign. So be with loved ones, be with like-minded and like-hearted people, and enjoy the beautiful moon. On December 21, of course, at 8:19 p.m., you might not have known that, Pacific, we have a solstice. And this solstice is in Scorpio. And it's very fitting if you're in the northern hemisphere, where we have the shortest day of the year, the darkness, and not quite as fitting if you are in the southern hemisphere and you have the lightest day of the year. But in either case, my clear guidance from my guides was to invite you to do shadow work. So I personally, there's a cave in Sedona that I love to go to, that I've gone to over several winter solstices, and I just may go there again this year. What's your cave? Where can you incubate and be in the darkness and then go into that Plutonian, go into that Scorpio type energy? Scorpio's ruled by Pluto, I believe also Mars, but right now I'm talking more about that darkness, right? And shadow, you can do light work in shadow as well too. What positive qualities are you not willing to see in yourself that you see in others out there? So whichever feels right to you, I'm seeing that you want to go into where there might be some limits and do some shadow work. I have whole playlists around the chakras that will allow you to do some really easy, fun yet deep shadow work. My two playlists are, one is EFT shadow work to open your chakras, and the other one is 5 shadow qualities of the chakras you need to embrace. So, or 5 shadow qualities of each chakra. Something like that. Close enough. I will put the links for you down below. Look for them there and think about doing some deep, beautiful shadow work December 21, because it's a great way to end the year, to just really look at what we haven't looked at. December 25th, Christmas for many, at 7:15 p.m. Pacific time. We have a new moon in Capricorn, and then 3 hours later at 10:13, almost exactly 3 hours later at 10:13 p.m., we have a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses can be intense, and they reboot things. It's like a boom. So that's why I feel like in eclipse, it's like there's just a lot of solar energy. Like I've been talking a lot about the solar plexus chakra, and doing the shadow work on the 21st, I think, will help bring you more grace around this solar eclipse, because eclipse can be wacky. But the good news is, let me just check my notes here, is we have the solar eclipse itself is conjunct Jupiter, which is very fortuitous. Very, very fortuitous. So whereas you might be frightened of some solar eclipses, this one is going to be probably very fortuitous, especially, and this was key, right now my guides are telling me, especially if you're on path, if you're asking these questions, you're listening to your higher self, you're taking directives from the divine, you're making real decisions. You're not just taking the directives and just going, whatever, man, you know, you're actually doing something with them and you're making moves. So it's back again to listening to higher self, making decisions and plans, and then making moves. If you're doing all of those, this solar eclipse is just going to catapult you. If you're not doing those, well, I guess you'll find out, right? So most of you in my tribe, I'm sure, are doing those in varying different degrees, right? Because I know you're here to serve, and I know also you're interested in being embodied, because I work with a lot of embodiment on this channel. This isn't just about ascending. This is about not just going to heaven, but bringing heaven's energies down here onto earth where we need them so much. So also Jupiter is trine Uranus. So there could be some unexpected things. And again, because of just Jupiter's beautiful energy, it's probably going to be really positive surprises. So be open to getting some gifts. If it's your Christmas, the biggest gifts will probably be the spiritual gifts, will probably be the things that happen, not the things, the physical things that you get. All right? Okay, guys, that's pretty much it. But of course, let's look at New Year's for a minute, because I want to talk about New Year's Eve. I'm actually going to go do an event in Austin where I'm going to be circling with a group of people consciously for like 3 days. And I'm really diving into my circling a lot because I want to share it with you, my tribe. It is the most amazing thing. And I've been so nervous about just what a big step this is that I have literally been training for the last 4 or 5 years in circle work. And I'm now training with a different group than I trained before so that I could get a different perspective. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing on New Year's Eve. What are you going to be doing? I'm going to be doing conscious work with others. Please be doing something that really resonates with you, and do not say okay to do something New Year's Eve with someone else that you don't want to be doing it, okay? Because this is the end of a 3-year. 2019 is the end of a 3-year. We've all been trying to find our power. That's why I went through that death rebirth literally in my solar plexus. As many of you know, I am a solar plexus destiny. I'm also a Pisces, a psychic, so I can do this work for more than just myself. I'm doing it with you and for you. And of course for myself as well. So when you do it, you're doing it for me and the tribe and the planet as well. So be in your power with what you choose to do on New Year's or the few days leading up to New Year's, okay? 2019 is a 3-year, a power year, a solar plexus year. And that means that 2020 is a 4-year. And it's got that 2 sacral energy as well too, because 2020, 2 and 2, 2020. So we've got a lot of sacral energy as well. So we're moving from solar plexus, that power thing, into, and that controlling thing, into more sacral energy, and 2 and 2 is 4, so into the heart. 2020 is a 4-year. Let me bring up a heart. You saw it earlier, but let's do it again just so we can initiate it. It is the center of your field. We're coming into a year that's asking us to be in the balance spot of our being, in love, unconditional love, in acceptance. I think this is also part of why I'm being drawn to doing circle work now, because circle work is all about us living in harmony and not watering down who we are to live in harmony, but actually being more of our authentic selves, letting our true voice, our truth, our purpose come out while being with others, so that we can feel that there is no right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. You are your own right. I am my own right. And when we're flexible, when we're in our heart and our sacral, and we don't get too rigid, and we keep our power flowing, not overly rigid or fiery, then we can all accept and live in a more connected world, because we can accept each other. We can accept the differences. We can not just accept them, we can glorify them and celebrate them. When I do circle work, I absolutely love to see all the differences of the people around me. It makes me feel more connected to them, not less. You guys, thank you for sticking with me. I'm sorry for it being such a long video, but this is a deep time. I couldn't just skate over the top of it. I really could not skate over the top of it. This is an exciting, exciting, rare time. Coming up in 2020, we have, while Jupiter is still in Capricorn, Saturn's going to be conjunct there as well as several other planets, and a lot of people are talking about it. It's this unbelievable stellium. We've got Pluto as well, which is the dark. Pluto is like if there's root chakra, then there's more chakras, deeper earth chakras under root. It's like the deepest root, right? But it's the deepest root that's so deep, it's spiritual. Do you understand that kind of depth? There are several gurus that have literally talked about, I can name Eckhart Tolle and Byron Katie are two, for example, who talk about extreme depression. That would be low, 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 going down into the root, down, down into the earth. Depression, 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 extreme depression that led to them having a spiritual breakthrough, just boom. So the way I see it, it's just a circular cycle. We can go up and ascend, but we can also allow ourselves to go deep into acceptance of the darkest, of the shadow, and that breaks us through into an open and compassionate heart as well. This has been a lot of deep stuff, a lot of chakra stuff, a lot of planetary stuff. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope it hasn't been overwhelming, and thank you for being a part of my tribe. I'm so excited to go into 2020 with you, and I'll be excited to bring that energy forecast. I have been questioning whether I was going to continue to do these, you guys. This one's been a lot of fun. Please let me know if you want me to keep doing these. They are work, and if I know you're getting something out of them, I'm really happy to do it. So blessings for the rest of this powerful 2019, and I will see you on the next video. Much love.